Resistance strong, won't forgo. Heroes rise in cosmic glow, and mutants storming the breach. Freedom now within reach. Digital fray, metal clanger, will rectify. Laser beams, fire anew, wings of blue cutting through. Red mutants won't relent, Zoidstar's fate never bends. Battle cries in digital fray, metal clanging, reality fray. Guardian Zoids holding fast, Cosmozoids won't let them pass. Resistance strong, won't forgo. Heroes rise in cosmic glow, red mutants forming the breach. Zoidstar's fate never bends. Battle cries in digital fray, metal clanging, reality fray. Guardian Zoids holding fast, Cosmozoids won't let them pass. Let them pass. Resistance fray, metal clanging, reality fray. Guardian Zoids holding fast, Cosmozoids won't let them pass. Resistance strong, won't forgo. Heroes rise in cosmic glow. Red mutants storming the breach. Zoidstar's fate never bent. Glowing circuits flash war. Metal wings strike the core. Cosmozoids shake the sky. Blue Guardian Zoids strident cry. Engines roar, twilight's bar. Shattered crown, cracking far. Red mutants rise from below. Planet Zoidstar's last show. Electric nights in satellite guardians fight in endless fight. Cosmozoids, damsels to live for freedom. Rewrite, unified. Laser beams, fire anew, wings of blue, cutting through. Red mutants won't relent, Zoidstar's fate never bent. Metal cries in digital fray, metal clanging, reality fray. Guardian Zoids holding fast, Cosmozoids won't let them pass. Won't forego. Heroes rise in cosmic glow. Red mutants storming the breach. Freedom now within reach. Electric nights in cyberlight. Guardians fight in the fight. Electric nights in satellite. Guardians fight in endless fight. Cosmos skies and Zoids collide. Freedom we ride, unified. Laser beams, fire anew. Wings of blue, cutting through. Red mutants won't relent. Zoidstar's fate never bent. Dark battle cards, for freedom we fight. Unified. Laser beams, fire anew. Wings of blue, cutting through. Red mutants won't relent. Zoidstar's fate never bent. Battle cries in danger to fray. Metal clanging, reality fray. Guardian Zoids holding fast. Cosmozoids won't let them onward for gold. Heroes rise and cosmic glow. Red mutants storming the breach. Freedom now within reach. Freedom reach. Freedom reach. Freedom reach. Battle cries and dangers afraid. From clanging reality fray. Guardian Zoids holding fast. Cosmozoids won't let them pass. Resistance onward for gold. Heroes rise and cosmic glow. Red mutants storming the breach. Freedom now within reach. Freedom reach.